the five elements, Mahabhutani, the five great elements. Our elements are different. Here, elements is only a word. Bhutani means, so those great fundamental elements, like even the things that constitute the world, the physical world, the space, Akasha, Vayu, the air, Agnihi, the fire, Apaha, the water, Prithvi, the earth. So this physical body consists of these five. I occupy some space, and again Vayu, there is oxygen everywhere. Vayu means air. Then Agni, there is temperature, that is fire. Then water means the very shape is nothing but water. If water is not there, then it will be dehydrated powder, please. So the fellow will be a powder, you can give him in your pocket. Mr. So-and-so. So write there and send him. So no, dehydrated Mr. So-and-so. Completely. The shape is given by water. And then anything tangible is nothing but minerals, the Prithvi. And therefore each physical body is a compound of these five elements. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi. These five elements. And this Mancha Mahabhutani, they are subtle and gross. What I see is the gross five elements, and all that is inside. So my sense organs and all of them, they are all made up of five subtle elements. There are five subtle elements, like even the tungsten wire in the bulb is something gross. It is matter, you say. But then that which blesses the tungsten wire is energy. But then what is tungsten wire? The tungsten wire also, atomically speaking, and then it is again nothing but nucleus-wise, if you speak, again it is nothing but energy. The tungsten wire also is energy, and that which blesses the tungsten wire is also energy. But then one is gross, the other is subtle, let us say. For our explanation's sake, one is subtle in the original form, in the energy form, the other is in the matter form. And similarly here, the gross world, the five elements are gross world that make up the world. And again my sense organs, my prana, my digestive system, all the system, physiological system and the mind, all of them are made up of five subtle elements. Therefore the Sukshma Sharira, or the subtle body, even though it is made up of these five elements, subtle in nature, capable of reflecting consciousness, enjoying consciousness, one becomes conscious, the other one becomes inert. And because it has no subtle body, the gross thing is not able to reflect that consciousness, whereas the subtle part, the subtle body consisting of the five subtle elements is able to enjoy, reflect consciousness. Every matter doesn't reflect. Reflect your face, of course, every matter, anything, any surface doesn't reflect. But then a surface like mirror is able to reflect. Similarly here, so this subtle material made up of subtle elements, so that is all subtle, subtle in nature, so that exactly makes up your entire subtle body, which enjoys consciousness. Even though consciousness is everywhere, it's a question often asked. So again this morning also asked, again it was asked by somebody. And thus, even though consciousness is everywhere, but at the same time you find, but here alone is the consciousness expressed, because the subtle body, wherever it is, you will find there is consciousness. Even this plant has got subtle body. If that is not there, it is called dead. And any plant, anything that is alive has got a subtle body. It enjoys awareness. Wherever there is a Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, it enjoys awareness. And when the subtle body is not there, there is no awareness, as it were. Means awareness is not manifest in it. And thus awareness is, but it is not manifest in it. And thus if there is a subtle body, like even the sun falls everywhere, but then if there is a mirror, the sun not only shines, the mirror not only shines in mirror, shines in sunlight, but also reflects the sun. Similarly, so any object which has got a Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, it enjoys consciousness, and we can say it is alive. As long as the Sukshma Sharira, or the subtle body is, we say the man is alive. When that goes away, the man is dead. Means when it is not there, it is ruptured, then it is gone, you say. And this Pancha Maha Bhutani, the five gross and subtle elements which go to make up all this world and even your subtle bodies, Panchamaha Bhutani, then he says, Buddhihi, Buddhihi, Ahankara, leave it. Buddhihi is intellect. The entire thinking faculty is divided into two. One is called intellect, the other is called mind. The mind is, we say, what is mind? So, samshayatmika antakarana vrittihi manaha. In Sanskrit, it is defined like that. That is, mind means that which is vacillating, that which is volitional in nature, and that which is doubting, and that is called mind. And when you decide, it is called buddhi, intellect. When you inquire, when you discover, when you decide, it is called, when you cognize, it is called buddhi. So, manaha, buddhi, two. Then there is one fellow is that chittam. It is not included here. Chittam is memory. Whenever you recollect something, it is called chittam. Because it is not a new activity. So whenever you recollect something that is of the past, it is called a chittam. And there is another fellow who is called, is another thought, which is called ahankara. Ahankara is your I notion. I am the agitated, I am the restless, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. And this is called ahankara. This ahankara is the I notion, which again a thought upon the I. And again he says indriyani, the indriyani dashaikam cha, the five sense organs, five organs of action. So sense organs five I have told, the ears, the eyes, the nostrils, the sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of smell, sense of taste, the sense of hearing, the sense of sight, and the sense of touch, which is all over the body. Remember, one sense organ is all over the body. If it is not there, it will be a big problem. It is all over the body, one sense organ, the sense of touch. There's the five sense organs, then organs of action. Vak, pani, pada, payu, upastakyani. Vak, organ of speech. Pani, the hands. The legs, the organ of excretion and procreation. These are the five organs of action. So these are the five organs of action. The other five sense organs, they make 10. So dasha, he says, indriyani dashaikam cha, indriyani dasha indriyani, and backed by the mind. Ekam is mind. Backed by the mind. Ekam, dashaikam, 10 plus 1. So the five sense organs and the organs of action, plus the mind, buddhi, the intellect, ahankara, and again, please see. Then, pancha chendriya gocharaha, cha and pancha indriya gocharaha. When there are five sense organs, there should be five sense objects. And there are five sense objects outside. What is this big world? The world is nothing but object. What is that object? They are fivefold. The object is fivefold. What is that fivefold object? They are sounds, touches, the forms, the taste, the smells. That is all the world. Shabda fivefold. All the objects which are experienced by you through your five sense organs, and well, that is exactly your world. Shabda, sparisha, rupa, rasa, gandha. The five, what you call sense objects. They are called indriya gocharaha. That which is manifest to five sense organs, they are five. Shabda, sparisha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Then again, the various modifications in your mind, such as ichha, desire, dvesha, dislike, like and dislike, sukham, pleasure, a pleasing mind, dukkham, a sorrowful mind, dukkham, sorrow, sukham, pleasure, chetana, knowledge of a given thing, dhritihi, fortitude, courage, dhritihi. Then sanghataha, the physical body. This physical body also, sanghata means an assembly. This physical body is an assembly of lot of limbs. That is why you can do some kind of repair work. Kidney removed, one kidney you can replace and all that is a repair work is possible because it is full of accessories. And therefore rightly it is called sanghataha. Even one thing is gone, still it will go. Like, old cars, how they run. So similarly, so it keeps running all right. Even though there are a lot of things, of course, which are required, but still it runs all right. One leg gone, one hand gone, nose gone, ear gone, no problem. As long as the heart is not gone, things keep going. Even that also they can now do repair work. The valve is gone and put some valve and things like that. So it is all repair work. There also they try. And thus, so because it is full of spare parts. Since it is full of spare parts, it is rightly called Sangataha. In Sanskrit, it is an assembly. It is an assemblage of a lot of organs, accessories. And the Sangataha, Chetana, Dhritihi. All this he says again, Avyaktam. Lastly, Avyaktam, first line, last word. Avyaktam evacha. Avyaktam is what obtains in sleep. Avyaktam, unmanifest. Nothing is there, but the nothing is known. The entire thing he says, Etat kshetram samasena savikara mudakritam. This is indeed kshetra, the field of experience. The entire world, the five sense objects, and your sense organs, organs of action, the physical body, and the various modifications in your mind, Icha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham, all these various modifications of your mind, the very mind itself, the buddhi, means the type of thinking which is called mind. Buddhi, what is called the Nischayatmika, decisive thinking is called buddhi. Then again memory and ignorance and your ahankara, I am so and so notion, all of them he says kshetram. This is what is called kshetram. And who is kshetrajna? The one who is aware of all this, which I have already told, is the kshetrajna. And that kshetrajna is the same. Differences exist in kshetra, but definitely not in kshetrajna. And whether I am kshetra or kshetrajna, that is a question. I am kshetrajna being the subject, kshetra am I not. I am with the kshetra, all right. In me is the kshetra, all right. But then essentially, I transcend the kshetra. I am independent of the kshetra. More about this later, it will come. Then from next verse onwards, it's a very interesting verse. From next verse onwards, about 4-5 verses, they are Amanit. I'll just repeat, you just see. That much is enough today. Just I will repeat. Amanitvamadam vitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam saucham sthairyamatma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityujara vyadhi dukkha dosha anudarshanam asaktirana vishwangaha putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu mayicha ananya yogena bhaktiravya vicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnana artha darshanam etad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyata. Up to this, you have got a real, a beautiful, I would say, a scale of values. A scale of values, enjoying which the mind becomes the mind, in which this knowledge is possible, and even knowledge is gained in a way the fruits of knowledge are not enjoyed. And therefore, if the fruits of knowledge and the knowledge, both of them should be enjoyed by a given mind, then that mind must enjoy these values. Nothing to be frightened, please. They are very beautiful values. If you understand the values, that itself is a great way. I mean, it's a long way to go. Because if the understanding of a value is proper, then the living becomes natural. All we find, we are always frightened to hear a do or don't. We are always frightened to hear of an advice, a mandate, because the mandate seems to be something coming from somebody, and I seem to be one who is obliging to live up to that mandate. That is why there is no heart here. Even if you do it, you oblige a priest, you oblige a church, you oblige a guru, you oblige a book, a scripture, you oblige the society, sometimes the government, and more often than not the parents. And therefore what happens? So this fellow, he has no willing, he doesn't really do it of his own willingness because he is not convinced. In fact, he is not understood. He is not convinced, he is not understood. A value becomes a value when it is very thoroughly assimilated by me. Then it becomes a part of myself. How you can't pick up from the garbage and eat, even though what is there is an eatable thing, but still you won't eat because, well, that you have grown out of it. So that part of life perhaps one had lived, so that you have grown out of it, you cannot again do it, please. Similarly, everything it can be so. And thus one should be it should be impossible for a man to tell a lie. It should be impossible for him to get angry. It should be impossible for him to be self-centered. It should be impossible. It is not something that he obliges somebody. So the real growth and maturity of a human being is this incapacity, his incapacity to do things that are said here. So manitvam, dambitvam, to do things that anybody else will be that he himself will be ashamed of when he becomes mature. So such things he should not be able to do it, and that is called maturity. Till then this fellow is only struggling, he doesn't know what it is all about. Often we are told by people that you should do this, ye shall do this, ye shall not do this. Thus do's and don'ts are given to us, and they have got to be given to us until we can learn independently. But then once we are capable of independent thinking, then all those values that were given to us as so many mandates coming from the ivory tower, and all those mandates should be assimilated, should become the very fibers of my being. Then there is no mandate necessary for me, because my life itself becomes one continuous flow of those values. Therefore, here Bhagavan gives those beautiful values like amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam, and even teenagers can attend, even children can attend, I'm sure, will be benefited. Thank you very much.